Never in a million years did I think that in my 30s, I would be meeting such serious health challenges and having to relearn how to walk again.
COVID has taken a lot from me. I took for granted how much I would just go before I became ill in April of 2020. My name is Heather Elizabeth Brown, and I am a COVID survivor and long hauler. I was put into a medically induced coma and placed on a ventilator, and I spent 31 days in that coma and on the ventilator. I'm so tired. I'm barely keeping it together. I want to have a normal week where I'm not constantly reminded in some way, shape, or form of COVID, of the struggle that I've had with COVID and the trauma that I've endured. I was diagnosed with COVID in the early part of the pandemic in April of 2020. I had just started a new job, so I was super excited to be moving into a new career, and I had been working at my job for maybe about 2 weeks when I first started showing symptoms. I was starting to have trouble breathing. I was so tired, I was barely able to perform basic functions to take care of myself. So I went back to the emergency room. They tested me again for COVID. At that time, I tested positive. They also did an x-ray, and they saw that I had COVID-induced pneumonia in both of my lungs, and it was pretty advanced. And so I was admitted to the hospital, and they put me on the highest level of oxygen that they could, and they started me on some medication. Not even 48 hours after I'd been in the hospital, the doctors came into the room, and they said that the pneumonia is really advanced and that my lungs were failing. On April 18th, I was put into a medically induced coma and placed on a ventilator, and I spent 31 days in that coma and on the ventilator. It was an experience that I don't think that I can explain adequately. I had a lot of very vivid dreams and nightmares. I woke up, I couldn't talk. I still had a feeding tube and obviously a catheter. I couldn't walk. The whole left side of my body was so weak, I couldn't even hold the call button for the nurses. When I woke up, the only people around me and that were allowed to be around me were the nurses in the intensive care unit. I was able to FaceTime with my mother, but no one was able to visit me in the hospital. Life post-COVID has looked very different for me. I had to go to inpatient rehab for 7 weeks, where I stayed in the hospital because I had to relearn how to walk. You never think at 35 that you'll be relearning something so basic that we take for granted as walking. I still walk with a limp. I'm still working on tackling the stairs, standing for long periods of time. Haven't gotten back in high heels yet, but that's on my list of things to do, and I'm committed to that. After COVID, I have had to use a home healthcare company. I developed post-COVID diabetes. I was not diabetic before. For a while, I was on a lot of insulin, but since I've been able to get it more managed. This is the day that you have made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. God, I thank you for today. I won't be who I was before. I'm somebody different now, and that's okay. But getting back to the best parts of me before I became ill with COVID. After having conversations with my doctors, my direct leaders, and just kind of making the decision that I would try because I want to move forward, I want to continue to get better at recovery, I want to push myself gently in order to get back into the flow of things.
80-90% of my job is talking. To not have the energy some days and to not have the breath support to do that, and to also be dealing with an incredible amount of brain fog at the time was really, really challenging. It got to a point where my confidence in myself as a trainer was shaken. I didn't want the standards to be lowered because of what I was going through and to feel that I wasn't pulling my weight with the team. And I'm so thankful that My leader was so compassionate and so understanding of everything that I was going through. He gave me the option to stay and figure things out. And I had to remind myself that I went through something incredibly traumatic and that healing is nonlinear, and that I would have good days and I would have bad days, and that I had to learn to be kind to myself. I'm involved in a lot of different ministries in the church, and one of the biggest ones is being a member of the praise team. To be able to combine something that I love, singing, with something that I am and something that I do, which is ministry, has always been a beautiful thing. I'm still as involved in church as I can be, but one of the main things that my involvement is centered around, COVID took from me. So it has been a challenge, but I'm still hopeful that it's something that I'll be able to return to. I definitely think that my faith has been strengthened, and I feel like I've gotten confirmation of the things that I was believing and professing in faith, but then to actually have a moment to see it manifest in real life is much different.
Can we? The biggest takeaway that I have from understanding long COVID and the multiple ways that it affects my body is that we're still learning. So there are no solid answers, and that's very frustrating. But one thing that I am encouraged by is doctors that are honest about the limitations that science has right now in understanding this, but also very skilled and able to connect their experiences in other areas with this experience now with COVID.
Where I met her and where she's at now is miraculous. Where she sees it as, I'm still not doing what I need to be doing. There's always that discrepancy in how you view yourself, and especially in how your healthcare team is viewing you. I tried to kind of reinforce to her specifically on focusing on those little victories every day and not so much what I can't do anymore.
Everyone has a warrior hidden inside them, and sometimes it's only at the very edge that we find out how strong we truly are. No matter what, you cannot give up. I'm still thankful and I'm still grateful for my life. I'm still hopeful for my future, but I just realize that I have to take it one day at a time.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.